Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're discussing a little bit about doubt and why doubt may not necessarily be a bad thing. In our life, sometimes doubts do come. And doubts are an opportunity for us to actually clarify and go deeper and understand something in a much more conscious way. It's very easy to just become a blind follower. One time Srila Prabhupada, he was in Los Angeles, so he was walking with his disciples. And Los Angeles is quite an exclusive area. So one time they were walking and they walked past a huge mansion, and Prabhupada said, and one day we'll have a mansion like this for Krishna. And everyone said, Jai Prabhupada. And then they walked a little further and there was a huge car. And Prabhupada said, and one day we'll have a huge car like this for Krishna. And everyone said, Jai Prabhupada. And then they walked a little further and there was a dog, and a dog was running, and Prabhupada said, and one day we'll have a dog like this for Krishna. And everyone said, Jai Prabhupada. And Prabhupada looked at them and said, what do you want a dog for? I was like, oh, I don't know, but Jai Prabhupada. So sometimes we become a little bit like that. We just kind of follow along and we become a little bit ritualistic, and that can happen interestingly in material life. We just kind of follow along. But interestingly, it can also happen in spiritual life as well. And therefore, sometimes when there's doubt, it helps us to break out from just the normal way of doing things, and helps us to discover something deeper. So today I thought we could read from the very first verse of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 1, text number 1. So you can repeat after me because I'm sure many of you know this verse. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kimakurvata sanjaya. So this is the very first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. It's very interesting. The very first word of the Bhagavad Gita is dharma, isn't it? Dhritarashtra Vacha is just like he's saying, but the very first word spoken in the Gita is dharma. And the very final word spoken in the Gita, Krishna says, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. So one Acharya, a commentator, says that the very first word of the Gita is dharma and the very final word is mama. And when you put them together, dharma mama. Dharma mama means nothing to do with your mom. But dharma mama means my purpose, my duty, my calling, my reason for existing. So the whole of the Bhagavad Gita basically teaches you that. What is the reason you're here in the first place? One philosophy says the only question worth asking is why are we here in the first place? So anyway, that's just a side note. But Dhritarashtra is in the palace. Everyone knows the situation in the Bhagavad Gita, that basically the war is going on. But Sanjaya, he has been to the battlefield. He's seen, actually different versions are given, but the way that it's usually explained is that the Kurukshetra battle begun. Then what happened is that Sanjaya was on the battlefield when the battle begun, And then the most popular way in which it's described is that Sanjaya remained on the battlefield till the 10th day of the battle. Something happened on the 10th day. Does anyone know what happened? It was an important moment in the war. That's the day that Bhishma fell. So then it said that Sanjaya came back to Hastinapur. And when he came back to Hastinapur, then he came in the palace with Dhritarashtra. And then Dhritarashtra asked him this question. When my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled on the battlefield at Kurukshetra desiring to fight, what happened? And so that's this verse that we're reading now. Dhritarashtra asks this question. So, why is he asking this question? It's obvious. It's like saying, what did they all do when they went to the restaurant? Of course, it's obvious, right? So what did they do when they all went to the battlefield? It's obvious, they fought. But the unspoken question is more important than the spoken question. And the unspoken question means that he has a doubt within him. He has a doubt about what is actually the outcome of that battle. And so Sanjaya begins to narrate everything that's happening on the battlefield. And therefore the whole Gita is said is a conversation which begins from a doubt. We can say the Gita encompasses 3 conversations. The first conversation is the conversation between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya. And that conversation is sparked by a doubt. The doubt that we're hearing here. He's not sure. Is he going to win? Is his sons going to win? Or are the Pandavas going to win? So that doubt that Dhritarashtra has is what sparks that conversation. That conversation begins in 1-1 and ends in 1878. However, it's said that within that conversation of the Gita is another conversation. And that conversation takes place between Krishna and Arjuna. And Krishna and Arjuna, they're having their conversation, and their conversation is also sparked by a doubt. Because Arjuna has a doubt. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prachami tvam dharma shamuda chetaha. I don't know what I'm meant to do. Am I really meant to be on the battlefield? Is this really my duty? Is this going to make me happy? Is all this success really going to fulfill my heart? Therefore he says to Krishna, Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. I'm your disciple. I have a doubt. Can you please answer my doubt? So that inner conversation, the second conversation, takes place between Arjuna and Krishna. And that begins in 2-7 and finishes in 1873. However, it's said that there's another conversation which is even within that. The outermost conversation is Dhritarashtra's doubt. The inner conversation is Arjuna's doubt. And it's said that the Bhagavad Gita has an inner conversation even deeper than these two. And that's the conversation between the soul and God. And therefore every single soul in their life will have doubts. And when they begin to have doubts about life, then they have the opportunity to approach God. And therefore the Gita also represents the conversation between the soul and God, the soul who is searching for meaning. And so every single one of these conversations take place in a different location. The first location is Hastinapur, Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya. The second conversation is at Kurukshetra, Krishna and Arjuna. But the final conversation, the deeper, the innermost conversation is between the soul and God, and that takes place within the heart. So each one of us in our life, doubts will come at some point. Something will cause you to doubt the direction you're going in your life. And that doubt, when it comes, 99.9% of people just ignore it. Whatever it is, it's there. There's a doubt there, but I need to get on with life. And they don't really explore what that doubt is. But that person who begins to explore the doubt and question, maybe there is something that I'm missing. that person is the person who goes on the spiritual journey. And when they go on the spiritual journey, then they spark that conversation with God. And that conversation then leads them on a journey of self-realization. And so within each one of us, at a certain point in life, a doubt will come. We begin to doubt whether all the material things that we've been pursuing are actually going to make us happy. And that takes us out of material life, and that helps us to begin our spiritual life. If in your life you sometimes feel confusion, if in your life sometimes you feel like, I'm not sure really where I'm going, midlife crisis, then it's not necessarily a bad thing. Because doubt or confusion can lead to breakdown, and therefore people are scared of it. But doubt and confusion can also lead to awakening. And so people try to ignore their doubts, their confusions, because they're scared that it will lead to a breakdown in their life. But actually, those who explore the doubts with the help of spiritual people and spiritual wisdom, what they find is that the doubt actually leads to an awakening. So it's a very good thing. Those of us who are actually practicing the spiritual path consciously, it means that at some point there must have been a doubt in you, and that doubt has caused you to take up something in a very more conscious way. But the interesting thing is, once we take up spiritual life, we can also become, again, very mechanical, very robotic. We can become ritualistic in the way we practice our spiritual life. And therefore, what will happen is, even after you take up spiritual life, more doubts will come. And these doubts are again meant to bring us to a higher level of spiritual consciousness and awareness. And so all these doubts are very, very good. The difference between Arjuna and Duryodhana was that they both had a doubt. Arjuna had a doubt about whether he should be fighting. Duryodhana also had a doubt about whether he was going to win. But the difference between them is that Arjuna opened up and was honest and said, I have a doubt, can it be cleared? But Duryodhana, what he began doing is he just carried on. He just kind of talked it up big, pretending that the doubt wasn't there, and just trying to give flowery words to kind of forget that the doubt is there. And he carried on, and eventually he lost. So that's what we sometimes do. We present ourselves as though everything is okay, no one will suspect anything, and maybe if I just say it's okay, I'll feel okay. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he once gave the story of the 2-cent circus. That a circus had come to town, so everyone queued up. The admission fee was 2 cents, but the condition was that only one person can go in at a time. So the first person paid his fee, went into the circus, and as soon as he went into the circus anticipating a wonderful show, 2 wrestlers came from both sides and started giving him a good beating. I thought, like, my God, I thought I was watching the circus, like I didn't know I was part of the act here. Anyway, he got beaten up severely, and then he exited the circus, and the exit of the circus was right next to the entrance of the circus. So he got out, and as he got out, there was a huge queue of people all waiting to get into the circus. So they said to him, like, how was it? How was it? And in his mind he was thinking, I spent my good-earned money to get in there. I don't want them to think I'm a fool. So he looked at everyone and he said, amazing. It was absolutely brilliant. You won't regret it one bit. And so he walked off, and then the next person came in, had exactly the same experience, came exactly out of the same door, and everyone asked him, how was it? And he was thinking, my God, the last guy had a great time, and I paid good money. I don't want to look like a fool. Oh, it was amazing, wonderful. And like that, every single person went in the circus. Every single person got beaten up. Everyone had a terrible time. And every single person convinced everyone else that it was absolutely brilliant. This is what people do in the world. We ignore our doubts because we think that if we express our doubts, then someone will think, oh, there's something wrong with me. But the brave person is the person who says, yes, I do have a doubt. Let's talk about it. It's very good, actually. This is how you develop. Like, for example, one art I've tried to develop in my life is talking to the people who disagree with you. When you're on social media, definitely there's going to be someone who disagrees with you. There's no shortage. If you feel like you have a shortage of feedback in your life, just open an Instagram account and start posting things. And people will give you plenty of feedback to tell you, oh, could have done it better. So what I do consciously now is that when there are people who have a different opinion, I consciously go to them and say, let's talk about it. I consciously seek out the people who have a different opinion and say, let's talk about it. And actually it's very beautiful because that's how you grow, that's how you develop. Sometimes we only surround ourselves with the people who agree with us, or we only surround ourselves with everything that's comfortable and kind of nice, which is good, but maybe you won't grow as much. So nowadays if someone has a different opinion to me, I say, tell me. Best idea wins. I'm open. I'm all ears. And it's very good. And sometimes I'm defeated, and it's very good. Srila Prabhupada said, in my life I was only defeated once by my spiritual master. But he said I was happy to be defeated by him. So, yes, perhaps there are doubts in our mind, or maybe not doubts, but confusions or things we don't understand. Even once we come to spiritual life, maybe there are doubts about the philosophy, and sometimes we don't talk about them. We hear it and we kind of accept it, but in our heart we're kind of like, no, I don't think that's true. But we feel that if we say it, it might be an offense or something unfavorable to our journey. No, we must. Siddhanta boliye chite na kara alash iha hoite Krishna lage sudrita manas. This is an ancient verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it says, never be afraid to discuss philosophical subjects, even if you think they're a little bit controversial, because by doing so, Sudrita Manash, the mind will become much stronger. So perhaps sometimes there are doubts about the philosophy. Sometimes there may be doubts about the process. I don't know, does it really work? I don't know. Everyone seems to be jumping up and down about chanting, but I don't know, like, what's all the hype about? I don't necessarily feel that much. But then we think, no, but I'm in the Hare Krishna movement. We chant Hare Krishna. That's what we do. So I should be feeling, and I am feeling, although I'm not feeling. And then we don't address it. Or maybe we have doubts about the movement. I heard something about ISKCON. I don't know. ISKCON. Are these guys alright? We might have a doubt about ISKCON or the movement that we're in, about the community. Sometimes we have a doubt about our community, like I've heard so many movements. So there is a need for us to have doubts. Doubts is actually a very good thing. Actually in Vedic teachings there's something called Vishaya Shamshaya. And what a teacher will do is a teaching technique. That what you do is before you give people the answer, you actually implant a doubt within them. Because what doubts do is they create a hunger for learning. If there's no doubts, if nobody has any questions, then that means there's no hunger. And if there's no hunger, then it's like having no fire in your system. Then you can give someone so much food, but they won't be able to digest it because there's no fire. So oftentimes what a devotee will do is they will first say something which will plant a doubt within people. And then they will give the answer. Because if you give the answer without first creating the hunger, it's like giving food to a person who has no fire of digestion. And so sometimes that's also what a teacher will do, put in a doubt. So if you look at how Srila Prabhupada teaches Krishna consciousness, oftentimes he will not necessarily give the answer straight away. What he will first do is cause someone to begin doubting. So like this, doubt is very much a part of spiritual life, it's very much a part of our progress. And doubt is not opposed to faith, but doubt is something which helps us to build our faith. So let me stop here and see whether any of you may have any questions. Maybe you have questions on what I've spoken about in terms of doubt, or maybe you have some doubts, or maybe you know someone else who has doubts. Of course, they're not your doubts, someone else's doubts, but I'll raise it on their behalf. Perhaps you have some doubts you would like to speak about, and then we can use this time we have here to exchange. Of course I can speak more, but let me just open it up first and see whether you have. Do you have any questions you would like to ask or doubts? Yes. Hare Krishna.
As you said, it might be someone else's doubts or my doubts. So I have a son who is 13 years old.
Yes.
So he has got a lot of doubts. He will always say, Mama, while we are doing Krishna consciousness, why can't we enjoy material things? Why is it said that you should not enjoy? Why is it said, okay, then I say, I thought able to really answer his questions. And then the thing that he really doesn't like is that when it is said that you should not have any attachments. So he says that, Mama, I'm your son, how can you not have an attachment to me?
Yeah.
And I asked,
and you don't know what to say to that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And also he has a doubt about chanting. He says, Mama, everyone says you have to be happy chanting, but I don't feel that happiness. I'm sure he's gonna not like it, I'm recording this.
Okay, yeah.
But you exactly,
we're coming for you.
Yeah, you exactly picked up the point that he is.
Alright, good. Alright, so let's go through those one by one. So first doubt is that why are we not allowed to enjoy things in Krishna consciousness? One time Srila Prabhupada was at a press conference and the reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what is the goal of life? You can imagine you're in front of a holy man, you know, like, what is the goal of life? Prabhupada looked back at him and Prabhupada said, to enjoy. This one's thinking like, and then Prabhupada said, yes, the goal of life is to enjoy, but all of you don't know how to enjoy, so we are going to teach you how to enjoy. So the soul is anandamaya bhyashat. The soul is full of pleasure, desire for pleasure. So your son is entirely correct. We are born to enjoy. We are born to experience pleasure. However, there is a way and a means to enjoy in such a way that we don't experience any disappointment. What we're trying to do in the Krishna consciousness movement is not stop people from enjoyment, but we're trying to introduce them to a type of enjoyment in which there will be no disappointment. When you try to experience happiness through material things, one of four things will happen. Number one, you won't get it. Frustration. Number two, you'll get it, but it won't be as good as you thought it was. Frustration. Number three, you'll get it, it's good, but then it fades. Frustration. Or number 4, you'll get it, it's good, it stays, but then it comes with the side B, the song you didn't want. You know, back in the day when there used to be cassettes, there was a song you wanted on one side and then you had to get the B-side song, even though it was completely rubbish. Just to be totally honest. So you get something else with it that you didn't want, frustration. Whatever you do in the material world to try and enjoy, you can get some gratification, but then there's a disappointment. Why? You're not meant to be disappointed. So we tell people, restrict yourself from types of enjoyment that will bring you a disappointment. Krishna says in the Gita, Yehi samsparsha ja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. It's a very beautiful terminology. Krishna says sukha in this world, material happiness, is the dukkha yoni. Yoni means a womb. So Krishna says sukha is like a womb. And pregnant within the womb of sukha is dukkha. In other words, those who pursue sukha, they don't know that from that sukha, dukkha is waiting to be born. And so Krishna says, Buddha, become intelligent. Nateshu ramate Buddha. Ramate means one who plays, or one who dabbles, or one who explores. Krishna says one who becomes a Buddha no longer dabbles or explores in these types of enjoyment, because adyantavanta, they have a adi and they have a anta. Therefore, why would you want to put yourself through the roller coaster ride? Doesn't make sense. So yes, we are restricting ourselves from sense enjoyment, but we're replacing it with a higher enjoyment, higher taste. Stay high forever. One time Prabhupada was in New York or San Francisco, and in the class someone put his hand up and said, what is the spiritual world like? Of course, Prabhupada could have said, Chintamani prakadasadma sukalpa vriksha lakshavriteshu surabhira vipalayantam. But Prabhupada didn't. He looked at the hippie and he said, the spiritual world is like an ocean of LSD. Just LSD, small time. Ocean of LSD, much better. So there's something much better. So that's what we tell people. We're here. You want to enjoy? Great. Jump on board. Now do it in a better way. That's it. Make sense?
Yes.
Then your second one was what one? Oh, about the attachment. Yeah. Are we meant to have attachment for family members? Or should we just take up Krishna consciousness and block everyone? No. Krishna consciousness is bhakti. Bhakti means devotion, love, exchange, relationship. So actually, if you're really practicing bhakti, your heart should become soft. And it means you should actually connect with everyone in a deeper way. However, attachment means attachment to someone on a material level. See, Dhritarashtra had an attachment to Duryodhana. And that attachment was on a material level. And therefore it led to Dhritarashtra's downfall and it led to his son's downfall. However, Arjuna also had love for his son, isn't it? Abhimanyu. When Abhimanyu died, Arjuna had heard the Gita that the soul is eternal, but when Abhimanyu died, Arjuna cried. And Krishna said, you have to cry, that's your son. It's not that you become cold-hearted, but it's not considered attachment, because when Abhimanyu died, Arjuna grieved, but then Arjuna, in the next moment, picked up his bow and continued on in life knowing what he had to do. So when we're attached to something, then we become so invested in it that we lose sight of the bigger picture of reality. That kind of attachment is not good. Therefore, you must love your kids. If you don't love your kids, how you will be a mother? Very difficult. you know, one time, one Mataji, she came into the room with Prabhupada. She had just got married, and so Prabhupada looked at her and said, "Who do you love more, Krishna or your husband?" I mean, what do you say to that? So she thought and thought, and then she looked down and she said, "Prabhupada, I don't love any of them. I don't love either of them. Neither I have love for Krishna, neither I have love for him." Later on, Prabhupada explained that when you develop bhakti, you'll have love not just for Krishna, but for everyone in relation to Krishna. Krishna says that. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vichitatma jitendriya sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvanapi nalipyate. Krishna says in 5th chapter that one who becomes spiritual becomes dear to everyone, and everyone becomes dear to them. Not just you don't just have love for your children, your family, everyone, expanding love. So yes, Krishna consciousness is not about becoming cold. One time a man came to his guru and he said, "I'm ready for sannyas." I said, "Why?" He said, "My wife passed away and I didn't cry." His guru said, "Go and get married again." If you are so cold-hearted that you can't cry for your wife, how you will cry for Krishna? So it's not that we now Krishna and see you later everyone else. No, we express our love for Krishna through our relationships of this world. So you can tell him, "Don't worry, I'm not going to run away." And chanting, yes. Everyone says chanting is blissful. When I hear the 2 syllables, Krishna, then I desire thousands of ears, thousands of tongues. And I'm chanting and it feels a little bit dry. One time someone came to Srila Prabhupada and said, "Prabhupada, do we have to chant 16 rounds in the spiritual world?" Prabhupada said, "With an attitude like that, you're never going to get there." So, you see, Prabhupada says we are in jaundice. This is mentioned in Nectar of Instruction. Shyat Krishna Nama, that Krishna's name is sweet like sugar candy. But because we have a tongue which is diseased, therefore we cannot perceive the sweetness of Krishna. Yet even those devotees who say, "I don't have a taste for chanting," I think they have more taste than they may know. Because if you would tell them tomorrow, "Okay, everyone hand in your bead bag, no one's allowed to chant today," I'm sure you'd find them secretly in some corner. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. We may not be drowning in the nectar of the holy name. Maybe we're not there. But gradually the taste is awakening. So spiritual taste is not binary. It's not just something either you have it or you don't. It's developing over time. And therefore we can encourage that, you may not have taste in chanting, but it makes sense philosophically. You've experienced maybe something, and there are other aspects of Krishna consciousness which are good for you. So stay with it and let's see where we go. Give it an experiment like that. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaja. I have to say you've been inspirational in my life in really challenging times, and I'm so grateful. This is a dream come true, actually meeting you in person and you meeting my daughter as well. And you speaking about doubt. You mentioned that doubt, to unravel it, discussion is primary.
Mm-hmm.
But what if discussion isn't possible with someone?
With a devotee or something
Or
like
if
that.
because of the complexity of the relationship. How
Oh,
else can we
okay.
navigate, or what are the processes in unfolding the doubt, and how would we come to know that we are progressing, or we're on par, or it's the right decision Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like in your head you got a very specific situation, and I'm
Yes.
trying to
Yes.
so I'm trying to tune in. Not that I'm trying to read your mind or anything, but I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from. Okay, so yes, we have doubts. Are you specifically talking about doubts in a relationship, or
Perhaps you can't have the discussion because of the complexity of the relationship,
okay?
but it could be involved.
But what is the nature of the doubt? Is it in the person, or is it
in a situation?
in the situation?
Yes. Could be the person.
Yes. Could be the person, yeah. We won't mention any names. All fictional characters. Yes, well, the first thing is that we're blessed with a community. In the Mahabharata, it says it takes a whole community to bring up a child. As in New Govardhan, we were just in New Govardhan, and I think communities like this are so beautiful because children get to grow up with many, many relationships, you know. Mother and father is obviously good, but then there's so many aunts, uncles, friends, and bigger brothers, bigger sisters, and it's very beautiful because all of those relationships give them something different. Generally find kids who grow up in community, generally they're socialized much better, and they actually become generally much more brilliant. Therefore, even in your community here, to have an opportunity for children to grow up together and have many different relationships is powerful. But the reason I'm raising this is because doubts can also be raised in the wider circle of friends that you have. Sometimes you raise a doubt to a specific person who's very much connected to that doubt. But other times you can just speak with others who are at a distance, and sometimes they're better to speak to because they're outside of the emotions of everything. You see, when people are emotional, that's why, like, one thing I learned in my life, because I figured it would always be in demand, was conflict resolution. So I decided to do a crash course on conflict resolution. Sometimes, just sometimes, we have arguments in the Hare Krishna movement. Just sometimes, on a rare occasion. So mediation is so powerful because it doesn't always work, but it's powerful because now you've got someone in the room who's neutral, who's not in the emotions of it all. And it's interesting that sometimes that person can bring a perspective that the two can't see. You know, they say there's my version of the truth, there's your version of the truth, and then there's the truth. So we are emotionally skewed. So therefore what I would say is that when we have a network of other devotees that we can speak to, that's very powerful for also clarifying doubts. Another thing we can do is just have a conversation with Krishna. That's also possible. Krishna is a person, Krishna is in your heart, Krishna is ready, but then you have to be open to hearing him. So you've probably heard me speak about journaling and writing one's thoughts and reflecting and coming in front of Krishna and actually making a prayer. And in that often Krishna reveals things to us in very beautiful ways. So there are other ways that we can express and process the confusion that may be within ourselves to find clarity. So, is that okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the class. Maharaj, my thought is, when you say why are we here, I keep asking myself that question, but we say that the spiritual world, we are in constant service of Krishna, and why is it then that we thought we wanted to enjoy separately of him? And then why is it that we're here? And if he's so merciful, why did he allow that to happen? I know we have free will, but why did it happen? Like, why did it happen?
Full of the Jiva question. Okay, yeah, sure. Shall we go there? Yeah, let's discuss that.
Because I say it was my choice to come here, but then I'm like, but then if I was there, why did I think that in the first place? In the spiritual world, we wouldn't be thinking that, or if we'd be engaged in the service of the Lord, why did we think that to enjoy separately of him and be here?
Yes, thank you. Yes, this has been discussed, debated, and in many books from many different perspectives. And it's interesting because there are also different responses to this even within the Gaudiya Vaishnav community. The question which you ask is not an answer which everyone is united on, actually. There are different philosophical perspectives. So Srila Prabhupada, the way he generally explains it is that Krishna gave us free will, as he mentioned. More evil than giving free will which can be misused would be to give no free will at all. So actually it's a greater evil to not give free will to the living entity, because then you take out the very purpose of life. If you don't have free will, then what's life about? There is no life. And therefore, if Krishna didn't give free will, then that would be even more evil, because then he's just creating robots. So Krishna does give free will. But you may say, but then he gives us free will, and free will means we can misuse it. And that seems like, you make one mistake and then you're down here in this chaos. So, Srila Prabhupada explains that we have free will, because there can't be love without free will. But he says that when we leave the spiritual world, it's not that we were dissatisfied, it's just that we were curious. So you may say, yeah, but why would you be curious? You could be fully satisfied in the spiritual world. You could make that argument. But Prabhupada says that it's not that we're dissatisfied, but we have some curiosity. And so then Krishna has to create another option. Therefore we come to the material world. It seems really bad down here, lifetimes and lifetimes of struggle. But actually it's just a flash in eternity. When you're in it, it feels like when you're in a nightmare. It feels like it's going on and on and on and on, and then you wake up and you're kind of like, I've just been asleep for like 7 minutes or something. It's like nothing. So this is how Prabhupada generally explains it. But now, let me share with you another philosophical perspective. If you're a little patient with me, I can explain it. Why this question is not so easy to answer. So just be with me, okay? The universe is made up of 14 planetary systems. You're familiar? Yes. So the middle is known as Bhumandala. That's where we are, right in the middle. Right? As you go up in the universe, time dilates. Even Einstein talked about the relativity of time. So as you go up in the universe, Maharloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Brahmaloka. Once you get to Brahmaloka, which is like the top of the material world, it's said that one day in Brahmaloka is like 6 months, because time dilates. Okay? Then, when you get to the edge of the material universe, the causal ocean where the material and the spiritual meet, time is zero. The spiritual world is timeless. There's no time there. So now, my question to you is, can you leave a place in which there's no time? Can you leave a place in which there's no time? Yes or no? No. Anyone think yes?
Yes, but we're already
Yes.
there. But we're there.
So if you say yes, then my question will be when? So in one sense, you can't leave a timeless place, because it's the eternal present. Can you re-enter a timeless place? No, in one sense, no, because it's you can't when. So, the reason I'm sharing this with you, this is written in an article by Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. If you want to read it in more detail, it's called On Conceiving the Inconceivable. And he looks at the fall of the jiva question, and this is how, I think this is for me, this is the most logical answer, that what we're trying to do is create a narrative. I was in the spiritual world, and then I fell, and then I joined the Gold Coast devotees, and then I perfected my life, and then I went back to the spiritual world. We're trying to create a narrative, a timeline. But how can you create a timeline when you're talking about a series of events that span 2 different time dimensions? It doesn't make sense. In one sense, we do leave the spiritual world. In another sense, we never leave the spiritual world. In one sense, we're here. This is real. We're here in the material world. In another sense, the Bhagavatam says the material world is unreal. So, language sometimes has its limitation to help us understand a philosophical concept. If I say to you, who comes first? The mother or the son? Who comes first? It's not a trick question. No, the mother or the son, who comes first? It's not a trick question. Mother. It is a trick question. Because until the son is born, is she a mother? No. So the son has to be born and then she's a mother. Congratulations, you're a mother. No, but the mother comes first. No, but you were not a mother till the son was born. So I could make 2 statements. The mother comes before the son, and the son comes before the mother, which seem to be completely contradictory, but which are both completely true in their own ways. Did we leave the spiritual world? Yes. Do you never leave the spiritual world? Yes. Is that a contradiction? Yes. Is it inconceivable? Yes. Should we have prasadam? Yes. So that's the point, that English, therefore Vyasadeva says actually in Vedanta, he says logic and argument are insufficient to understand the absolute truth. So there are certain things which we have to understand are beyond a linear way of thinking. So it requires us to think in broader terms. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada just generally addressed the question by saying that we have free will, and love means free will, and therefore we're here, like that. But within the Gaudiya community, you will find unlimited debates on this. Some will tell you we were originally in the spiritual world, some will tell you that we were eternally in the material world, some will tell you that we came from the Brahmajyoti. There are different perspectives. And even Srila Prabhupada in his writing seems to sometimes suggest different things. So it's just a very multi-dimensional and a topic which perhaps can't be encompassed within one philosophical position. Alright? Well, did that make some sense? Yeah. Something, yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I did. Yes? It's okay.
It's a really good pleasure to meet you. I understand the lectures for a long time now. So, my dad, he meets lots of new people whoever comes to Bhakti Center, the temple, and they always tell him about how they feel connected to Krishna. And whenever I hear them say that, I always think that if they're connected to Krishna and they're new, how am I not connected to Krishna? Because I don't feel anything whenever I'm listening to kirtan or listening to lectures or anything like that. So how can I feel it? How can I feel it like how everyone else feels it?
Okay, thank you for raising your doubts.
Very basic and very important.
So everyone else is feeling, they're jumping, they're dancing, smiling, And sometimes I may even do that like them, but I don't feel it. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Srila Prabhupada, once he had a servant called Shrutakirti Prabhu. And you know, when Srila Prabhupada would arrive in an airport, then everyone would be like ecstatic. They would dance, and some of them would be crying, and there was a lot of emotion. And so one time, Shrutakirti Prabhu, he was traveling everywhere with Srila Prabhupada. And so he was massaging Srila Prabhupada, and he said, Prabhupada, the devotees have so much love for you, but I don't have that love. I don't feel like I have that love. They're dancing, they're jumping, they're crying sometimes. Prabhupada was quiet, and then he asked Shrutakirti a question. He said, but do you like to serve me? And Shrutakirti Prabhu said, yes, I love to serve you. And Prabhupada said, that is love. So everyone has a connection with Krishna, but everyone has a different connection with Krishna. The way in which others may connect, some people when they're in a kirtan, they just connect. Some people when they open the Bhagavatam, they just fall asleep. They connect. And some find it difficult. Some people when they're serving the devotees, then they can connect. They can serve all day, but if you ask them to chant, they might struggle. So everyone, and I'm sure even you, connect to Krishna. Is there something you like doing for Krishna? Is there something that you do that makes you feel happy when you do it for Krishna? When you like talking to devotees? Yeah. So there you go. There are 5 potent forms of devotional service, and one of them is sadhu sangha. So that means you do have some love for Krishna. So, yes, but we can learn from everyone. Everyone connects to Krishna in unique ways, so we can try to ask them, what is it that you do that makes you so connected? And like that we can learn from everyone, and we can intensify our own connection. Is that okay? Alright, thank you.
Very nice. I have a comment and a question, if you allow. So, Gauri Mataji asked that question about and as you said, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we have
Different opinions. Yeah.
Recently, a book came from the Jolly Swami, Sridhar Swami, the Jolly Swami.
Oh, the Jolly
He mentioned
Swami.
in the book that don't focus on why we are here. We are here, there is a boat to save us, like Titanic filled ship. Don't ask the question that why is Titanic broke down, but there is a saving ship here to protect you. Hold on to that and
Just get out.
Just get out.
Ask questions later.
I read that recently on that book, very amazing book. Now the question is, when famous personalities like you and many other senior Vaishnavas and Bhaktas and Kirtanyas and many other come to any congregation, we see devotees very enthusiastic, including myself. We say, okay, then, but that enthusiasm lasts for another 2 weeks or a week, and it kind of, the number, whether it's morning program, evening program, or like Harinam, anything, it kind of, go back to till the another sannyasi comes or till another. How do we keep ourselves motivated or encourage others, so that it's not just limited to somebody coming and then we are enthusiastic and, because there might be a time when we are leaving this body, there might not be any sannyasi in front of us, there might not be a class in front of us. So how to keep ourselves motivated always?
Yeah.
I have this doubt for myself.
Thank you. Yeah, we need, you see, it's not that we carry any special potency, it's just that it's different. Like when I go back to London, I'm just like one of the guys there, It's not like because I'm always there. So our tendency is that we like something different. I'm sure if I would be in the Gold Coast every single day, you guys would be like, oh, this one, you get bad jokes, this guy, why doesn't he get some decent jokes, So there's a sense in which we just something different gives us a new variety is the mother of enjoyment, they say. So in the beginning, in Krishna consciousness, we have to have some, always keep it fresh externally. So in the beginning, we can keep doing that. We have to accept that we are not pure devotees, so we're not connecting with the essence of Krishna consciousness now, because we're not there yet. So what we do is we try to keep it exciting. What topics can we create that will stimulate people's interest? What new festival can we do? What new service can we try? What new project can we put on? What new person can we invite to come here? So I think the first thing is in our community is just to keep everything dynamic. To always, Krishna consciousness should never just be the same. And there's so much we can do to keep it dynamic. So that helps with inspiration. But yeah, gradually what happens is that Krishna consciousness becomes less and less about the externals and more about Krishna. In the beginning, I remember once I was at the Manor in London and it was like 7:30 Bhagavatam class time, so I asked someone like, oh, who's giving class? So he said, why are you asking? I said, I'll first find out who the speaker is, and then I'll make a choice whether to show up or not. And he said, this morning when the deities were giving darshan, did you ask who was the pujari? I mean, you don't ask, right? Like before you go for deity greetings, like, by the way, who was the pujari today? I'll first consider. No, that's Krishna. It doesn't matter who the pujari was. Krishna is beautiful. So he said, you don't ask. Therefore, why are you asking who's the speaker? The Bhagavatam is beautiful. And the speaker is just decorating it. Gradually what happens over time is we begin to connect with the essence of the thing rather than the form. And then it doesn't really matter who's singing the kirtan, who's giving the class, who dressed the deities, who cooked the prasadam. It matters that it's prasadam. It matters that it's the deities. It matters that I'm hearing Bhagavatam. And gradually what happens is we will become more and more indifferent to the form and more attracted to the substance. So that's a progression in Krishna consciousness which takes time. Prabhupada says in the beginning we're attached to the activity, but later on we're attached to the person, and he gives the example of a boy and girl who are in love. You've heard this. That when a boy and girl are in love, it doesn't matter whether they go to the cinema, or whether they're here or there. The main thing is that they're together. So later on it doesn't matter, like, what's the tune? Like sometimes we think, oh, I hope he sings in that tune. That tune touches my heart. Oh, then I melt. Then I feel like in bhav. No, if it was real bhav, you'd be feeling it, doesn't matter what tune it is. In fact, it doesn't even matter if someone sings out of tune. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, sometimes he would have the disciples who sang out of tune. He would specifically have them sing. Like you can imagine, there's like 10 incredible kirtan singers, and then there's someone who hasn't been blessed with a good voice. And then it was like, and today he will lead the kirtan. You're thinking like, my God, there's all these guys, we want to experience, No, he will sing. And now, instead of focusing on the form, it will help you to focus on the substance. So, yes, we try to sing nicely. We try to present in a palatable way. But eventually we got to start connecting with the substance, not the form.
May I say something? Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, you just made me realize. And I also realized that this blue fellow is the reason of everything, because all the doubt is coming from him. To me, I was so doubtful on many, many occasions, but today you really opened my eyes that, okay, it is not my nationality or color of my skin or my family, but it is actually him. And just now you brought up this subject about this argument about did we
Fall of the jiva.
the origin of the jiva. I read the book on the spiritual world, not even a leaf falls.
Yes, yes.
Very interesting. So this type of argument is based on that.
Yes.
Same as the flat earth or the globe is based on that. But it is coming from Krishna in order to be doubtful and in order to choose to really I want to find out and be knowledgeable or reject the whole thing. So do you agree that he is
Yes, no,
the cause of all causes?
yeah, you say something, yeah, I wish I could find that verse. There's a verse, maybe someone here knows it, in the Bhagavatam where it's actually said that he causes the doubt within. Anyway, I can't remember the exact reference now, but yeah, basically Krishna is doing that, yeah. Krishna also brings the doubt to help us to transcend our intellectual platform. Pure devotional service is not covered, jnana, anavritam. It's not even covered by the knowledge, the intellect. There's a sense in which Krishna wants to enter into the deepest type of exchange with us. And in order to, sometimes someone says, like, can you just get out of your head? And sometimes that doubt, that inability to rationalize and make everything logical is also arranged by Krishna so that we do get out of our head and that we actually just start functioning more from the heart. So yeah, Krishna also, all of this is part of his arrangement. No? Yeah.
So my question was, is that important for my progress in spiritual life? If
To
I
clarify,
fall, was my free will, or is the earth flat, or is the globe, is that important?
in one sense, no. Like that's why Prabhu was saying, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also makes this point that when you're in a house and it's on fire, then at that moment you're not trying to do the research to find out how it started. I mean, at that moment you just get out. That's the point. And so, in one sense, no. It's the main thing is to develop love. Whether we fell from the spiritual world or we didn't, the point is we now have the opportunity to develop love for Krishna. So why would we not put all our emphasis and focus there? That's the main thing. So yeah, but here I am encouraging people to raise their doubts. And so I think there are many doubts which it's good to explore and discuss. Some of them will be cleared, some of them may not be cleared, but by doing that, that's an exhibition of our devotion, and then we recognize the limits of our understanding and then move on like that. Does that? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are we getting short of time?
I think so.
We're getting short of time. Prabhu has a doubt about time. So thank you all. Yes, I saw so many more hands, but I guess we're here for a little while. If you want to speak individually, happy to do that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And thank you so much. It's been wonderful to spend the afternoon with you. As I said, hopefully don't lose your jobs for being here. But really happy to meet with you and be with you all, and hopefully next time we'll have more time.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.